All right, in this section, we're going to talk about angle of the foot and why it's important for striking the ball and how it's going to affect our kick. When we're coming in to strike the football, we're going to want our foot about 90 degrees from our target, right? So my big toe is pointed about 90 degrees from where I'm actually trying to hit the football. That's important because A, it's going to open up or expose the bone, that we talked about in the last section. When we go to strike this ball, we want to hit that particular bone. That's going to expose that really well, right? It's going to leave it really, really open for us to make good contact. But B, secondary, but almost equally as important, is it's going to help our missed hits. When we accidentally do not hit that bone, it's still going to give it a chance to go straight, right? And I'll demonstrate a little bit here. When we're coming in to strike this ball, you can see I got my toe pointed 90 degrees. I got my ankle locked out real tight. We'll get into that more in just a minute. And I got my foot nice and wide open. So if I hit this ball and I strike this bone, it's going to be a great hit. Everybody's going to like it. Everybody wins, right? Let's say I accidentally miss it, hit it off my toe right here. We're still going to get this ball to go straight because the angle hasn't changed, right? It's still that 90-degree angle. Now, the ball is going to spin fast. I'm going to lose power because I'm hitting underneath it because my toe here is an inch or an inch and a half lower than the actual bone that I'm trying to hit. So that's going to make a big difference in my power, but it's still going to go straight because my angle hasn't changed, and that's what's important, right? When we're hitting an extra point, we can afford to take 10 yards off our kick accidentally and still be successful, right? The only time we can't afford to take 10 yards off our hit is maybe when we're hitting a 40 or 50-yard field goal. So that's the first part. Same thing if I'm a little bit in. Again, it's going to be a little bit of a line drive, right? Because I'm a little higher now on my bone than I normally am, but I'm still going to get it to go straight. Now let's do it the opposite way. Let's say I'm coming in and I'm trying to strike this bone on a little three-quarter cup or whatever you want to call it, where my foot's a little bit tilted in, right? If I strike the bone, chances are it's going to be a good-looking hit. But now let's do the same scenario. Now let's say I'm striking that bone or that toe on accident, right? Now all of a sudden, the foot's going to start, or the ball's going to start slicing across the foot because that angle has changed, right? And the ball's going to take off left. It's going to start spiraling. It's going to start doing some crazy things. Same thing if I'm in here. Again, the angle has now changed, as well as most likely where I'm striking the ball, right? If I'm trying to strike it here on my bone and actually striking on my foot, chances are I'm going to hit this side of the ball. So again, when it comes to misses, you always want that foot nice and open because when you do accidentally miss, you're still going to give it a good shot to go straight through, right? So when we come to, now we're going to come to talk about locking our ankle. When we lock our ankle, we want a nice stiff ankle when we're coming through. So when I'm coming through to strike the ball, I got my ankle really stiff, really locked out, right? That helps power and it helps consistency as well. If you're moving your ankle, chances are you're going to have trouble hitting the same hit twice, right? Your ankle's always going to be in a different angle or different flex each time, right? So try to lock it out. I like to tell myself, point my big toe to the ground when you go to strike this football so that your ankle's nice and locked out. Secondly, you want that ankle nice and stiff so it doesn't absorb any of the impact of the football, right? If I'm coming in, I'm going to do it with my hand here. If I'm coming in, my fist is the football. If I come in and strike this football with a loose ankle, right, the ankle's going to give a little bit and it's going to absorb some of that impact of that football, right? However, if I make my ankle nice and stiff when I come through, bang, there's not going to be any absorption of that power, of that energy, right? So you always want to make sure you lock that ankle, not just for power, but for also consistency because you want that ankle to be at the same locked position every time.